the Ninth Circuit found that under our copyright laws, a monkey cannot own a copyright. So they were out of luck. But I think that does have implications for artificial intelligence, because if a monkey can't own copyrights, neither can a computer. So I think right now it's pretty clear the Copyright Office isn't going to recognize if you try to register a work that wasn't created by a human being, you're not going to be able to get a copyright registration. So if you're going to try to get a copyright on something that was created using artificial intelligence, you're going to want to apply for that in the author's name and not in the name of a computer. It would seem, by example, although I'm not aware of any cases on this yet, that a programmer probably cannot claim a copyright in the finished product for the same reasons. That's not to say that the programmer couldn't claim a copyright or patent protection on the software itself, but on the finished product that's being generated by the computer, I don't think they would be able to do that. Now, these other works that we're seeing that I showed the one that was based on Van Gogh, there may be copyright protection for those authors who are feeding that computer program images and then manipulating those images to come up with a picture. But it's going to have to be a question, is it sufficiently transformative beyond what the computer did in order to get copyright protection? So just kind of a few wrap-ups here before I turn it over to Brad. If you want to obtain a copyright in artificially created art through an artificial intelligence source, you're going to need to show some human author that's contributed to the copyright, whether you're selecting images that are being fed into the computer. So in the crossbreeding example, maybe you're taking pictures that you've created from your own camera and you're crossing those into some other form of art, and you're twisting that around and applying different variables. You may well be able to claim an authorship interest in that. So that's something that may be entitled to copyright protection. The difficult part with this art that's being created with artificial intelligence, as I mentioned before, there's usually multiple artists involved. So if you're taking if you go onto the GAN breeder and you play around with that, you're taking someone else's images. Are you infringing their copyrights? So if you make your own images, are you really just creating a derivative work that doesn't have its own, that you can't utilize without obtaining permission from the person that created the original work? So you have to be careful of that issue as well. Again, because these are open source, there may be an implied license when you're using those, that you're allowing everyone to, if you're going to go and use GAN breeder and put images on there, are you just allowing everyone else to use your image? Are you giving everyone else an implied license by using that open source? I think these are all issues that we're going to see litigated over the next few years. I think one of the things that will be important if you really are an artist and want to monetize your artwork from these, more than just selling it in a gallery and hoping someone buys it, but you want to protect it with copyright protection, you're going to have to document your creative process. What did you do? You're going to have to show that it was sufficiently transformative from what the computer did, so that you're not just claiming something that a computer did, because that's not going to get a copyright. What did you do? What did you as a person do to differentiate it from all the other people who had contributed before, and what was going on with the computer? And so those are all issues that I think are going to be coming up. And with that, I'll let Brad talk about the tax issues.
Thank you very much. Stan's comments are for now, and I think those solutions are for the next year, 2, 3 years, because after 500 iterations of AI transforming 1,000 iterations, 1,000,000 iterations, you're not going to be able to trace it back to a human, and they're going to have to evolve the law in order to create rights for the computers and figure out both tax and also copyright rules. Okay, let's see now. Well, thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about a lot of tax stuff, and I'm going to try to get through as much of it as possible. Some of these initial slides just talk about some of the most expensive artwork that has been sold. Sold at gallery, sculptures sold. Got the William de Koon. Second most expensive, lots of artwork being sold, enormous prices. And as a result, more and more collectors are getting into the market. And there's a tremendous California, Los Angeles-based art market and collector market now. And so I would suspect that if you're doing estates or income tax planning or charitable giving, you're going to be bumping into these assets more and more. So there's different types of sellers, buyers, or donors. You know, an artist creates the artist. We talked briefly about that. Is the art self-created or not? And the income tax and also state tax benefits are very different. Dealers have art as inventory. They have collectors. This is important. Collectors acquires art to hold for investment or for personal use. Those are collectors, emphasis on personal use. Investors acquires and sells art primarily of a motive of making a profit. And so it's important to, in many cases, to distinguish between a collector and an investor. And we'll try to talk about that in a little bit. Acquiring, selling art. So there's some basic rules. I'm going to kind of whip through them. Art dealers, again, are going to be, and artists, it's going to be ordinary income rate for them, currently 37% plus the state rate. Collectors, for if it's short-term collectors, so you bought a painting and then you sold it within a year of the purchase, you're going to be paying the short-term capital gain rate, which is equivalent to the ordinary rate. Collectors have a capital gain rate potentially if they held it for more than a year, but it's a collectible, which is at a higher rate than the normal capital gain rate. And to qualify for long-term capital gain, you need three things: sale or exchange, capital asset, and must hold it for more than 1 year. And then, again, we shouldn't forget that there is a California tax on this. What is a collectible? What is a collectible? Any work of art, a rug, antique, metal, stamp, coin, alcoholic beverage. Stan's a big wino, big wine collector. So, you buy and sell those things, you have to pay 28%, not 20% on the capital gain. Okay. So what is a collectible? Pretty much anything the Secretary of the Treasury says is a collectible. So, okay. Thank you, Mr. Mnuchin. Okay. Individuals, general choice of entity and how you hold it is very important. And just to distinguish, individual general partnerships is usually one level of tax. LLCs, S corps, and limited partnerships, again, generally one level of tax. There's a little California gross receipts tax that you got to worry about. Income tax, for S corporations and small gross receipts for LLCs. C corporations have two levels of tax. Generally, you're expecting your artwork to appreciate, and it's not a great idea. It's probably a really stupid idea to put artwork in a C corporation. You should probably avoid that if possible. Okay, 1031s were very popular in the real estate area. You probably know about real estate 1031 transactions. Prior to the 2018 Tax Act, you were able to do like-kind exchanges of personal property, including art. And currently, under the new law, they've eliminated the ability to do 1031s for tangible property such as art. However, most people don't realize if Congress does nothing, it comes back in 2026, so don't throw out your notes. And what does Congress do better than anything? Nothing. Okay, so chances are it's going to be back unless somebody really takes an initiative to get rid of it. Okay, 1031, like-kind exchange. It has to be for an investor. Collectors can't do 1031. So when you buy the art, and if you're thinking about doing a trade, make yourself an investor and make sure you're not a collector. We'll go over some of that in a second.